Let me say good evening to all of you and greetings of peace as we usually greet each others with the words Om Shanti. Om means I am and Shanti means peace. So I'm very happy to be part of this gathering tonight, our virtual meeting in which we're going to be discussing a subject that is of great importance at this time, the subject of fear. All of us are going through this scenario. It doesn't seem as though anybody will be spared or anybody is spared. One way or another, we are exposed and we have to do something. When a child is experiencing fear and comes to you, what would you normally do? You will put your arms around that child and give that child so much love and comfort that the child feels secure. So it's very obvious we are already aware of what we need to do when we are confronted with fear. Fear is a very low frequency energy. It's very similar to anger, terror, animosity, inferiority complex. They're all low frequency energy. And so, just like day and night, they both exist. And yin and yang also exist. And light and darkness also exist. So there is obviously something that will counteract fear. There's something there already, and that is love. Love is that which counteracts fear. When you are in darkness, there is fear. And you reach for the light. You search for the light. You go towards the light. You invoke the light. And when you think about it, light is exactly opposite of darkness. So in order to deal with fear, we have to understand what is that quality that we also have that we can use to counteract fear. Fear is an emotion. It's not a disease. It's negative thinking. And it lives within us. It resides within us. Fear is not out there. Fear is not in people and situation. Fear lives within us. And along with fear, love also lives within us. As a reminder, we all have these 7 eternal, original, intrinsic, innate qualities, which is peace, love, happiness, purity, truth, wisdom, power. We have that within us. And we also have anger, greed, ego, lust, attachment. We have both. But we know which one is original and eternal. And we know which ones are acquired. Anything negative, we acquire. And anything positive is our intrinsic, eternal nature, a part of the soul. So when we came on this earth, we came with our intrinsic qualities, original qualities of the soul. And when we enter this body and we begin to play a variety of roles, then under the influence of the body, under the influence of the color of my skin, my nationality, my gender, my religion, my possessions, my position, my status, my money or material acquisitions. Under the influence of all of that, we develop ego, attachment, greed, lust, anger. And today I hear a lot of people say we have fear because we are afraid to die. When someone takes birth in the family, we celebrate. We have baby shower even before the arrival of the baby. We are excited. There's happiness. There's a feeling of welcoming. And then we shop, we decorate, we prepare with great love to welcome that newborn in the family. And we are all excited. Each one, when they see a new baby, they smile, they want to play, they want to hold the baby. So we embrace birth so much. But are we unaware that there's the other side of birth? And that other side is death. There's a saying, live we may, but die we must. Birth and death both exist. Soul and body both exist. One is temporary and one is eternal. Death is inevitable. It's a must. It's time to say goodbye. And if we have done our part, we did all that we are supposed to do, we will leave. happily, smoothly, no struggle, and we will leave behind legacy that can inspire, can motivate, can empower those we leave behind. So birth and death is both have to be embraced in the same way with happiness. In some cultures, I remember growing up, there was a old couple in our down at the end of the street, and they are from the Madrasi tribe in India. It's a tribe in India, and they believe that when the soul come in this world, they mourn the arrival of souls when they come in the world, because they are very concerned what might be the condition of that soul's existence on earth. Would they be exposed to poverty, sickness, suffering, atrocities? Would they be living here in struggle? Would they commit sin? Would they give sorrow to others? Would their purpose be one of giving sorrow? So they mourn the arrival of a newborn. And when it's time for departure on the earth, they celebrate, they beat drums, they sing song, they dance, because they said now the soul is free from any karma, any suffering, any form of wrongdoing, any form of sin. So they celebrate the departure and mourn the death. So it's different perception, different mindset, different attitude towards birth and death. Most of my adult life growing up, I always used to see how people given to sorrow when someone passes on. And it is of recent, maybe a decade or more, a little over that, when I recognize people's attitude towards death seems to change. They celebrate the life of the person as opposed to mourning the passing of that individual. And so people have adopted different attitude towards death. And so that is regarding birth and death. So there's no question of having fear for dying or moving on, because you know that the soul is eternal. And moving on means the soul will change one costume, one body, simply because the soul needs to go somewhere else and play another role in another family, perhaps in another country, in another gender, in another religion, in another area of the world, place in the world, speaking a different language. So soul have to go on, so it sheds its costume, and almost shortly after, it will enter a mother's womb. In that baby body, embryo that is being prepared, and given a few months in which it will begin to adapt to the new body and the vibrations of the new parent. And then it's time for the soul to emerge and begin to play its role. So birth and death is just a continuation, not the end. Some people say, I want to go to heaven, but they don't want to die. So I don't know how that is possible. You have to definitely leave here, and in this body in order to go to heaven. If you're going to heaven, you obviously have to leave this body. So death is a must. It's not death, it is a transition from one to the other. People have fear because of lack of money. And they worry, they're anxious, how they're going to pay their bill, etc. And some people have fear and can't sleep because they have too much money. So they have fear because of money, whether it's a matter of lacking money or having excessive money. So where is that coming from? It's an attitude. Whether because of lack of money, we adopt fear, or because of too much money, we adopt fear. And so if I have to go through a scenario, and I do, living here in this world, there are moments when not always money is available. But at that time, I just check to ensure that I'm not misusing money. I'm not overspending money. I have learned the art of putting aside some saving for emergency. And if all of that is in place, I don't waste money. I don't overspend it. I don't, I save. I don't because I have it, I use it. And there's a saying, willful waste, woeful want. So no, I check to ensure that I'm doing the right thing, and then I adopt faith and trust and hope that it will come. Not to fulfill my wants, but certainly to fulfill my needs. So I send out the energy of faith, of trust, of hope. I think abundance, and then that which I need comes. I am amazed throughout this pandemic experience. You will be amazed if I tell you some stories. Sometimes somebody out of the blues, even I don't know that person, just calls me up. Last week, someone called me up and said, "Do you know me?" So I'm looking at the name on the phone and I said, "Oh, I think you work at this place." And he said, "No." And then he told me who he was. And yes, he had come to visit our center a few times. But out of the blues, he called me up and he said, "Sister, are you home?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I want to pass by to give some donation for the work you do. Every day I receive daily thoughts from you. Every day you inspired me. So can I give some donation?" Out of the blues. Even I didn't know who that person was initially. Another person called me and said, "Sister, I know you're meditating. I know you are remembering, sending out positive energy. So there's my sister is not well. This one is not well. And I know because of people like you who are sending out energy to all the souls in the world, I know you're doing that. I would like to contribute something. This is how it comes. You send out the energy and people respond. So you have to use, in crisis, you have to use the opposite. As I was saying early, there's fear, then you have to use the opposite. When a child has fear, you embrace the child, you cuddle the child, you express, show compassion, you hug the child and you assure the child everything is fine. You restore back security. And so fear is something that we ourselves have created, and we need to remove it by transforming it and using love. I have put together a presentation which I would like to share with you some thoughts about fear. Now, fear has no logic. So why there is fear? Fear and worry. What is the effect of fear and worry? Both of them, they sabotages our well-being and our self-confidence. Can you all see the presentation, I hope? Allison?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, all right, just double checking. So I don't want the presentation to go and then halfway through, then we realize people were not, you're still seeing it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I can.
all right. So I know if you can see it, everybody else can see it. Okay, so what fear does, it sabotage our well-being and our self-confidence. It makes us not able to think clearly. It doesn't allow us to see possibilities and solutions. Now, fear has a big family. I'm sure you all are aware of some of them. Terror, worry, anxiety, stress, nervousness, confusion, inferiority complex, insecurity, pessimism, jealousy, comparing, blaming, complaining, and the list go on. They're like monsters. They're our creation. They live inside us. Misplaced fear, when they take hold of us, and we call it misplaced because it has no logic. Our fear lies in the realm of imagination. What if I fail? What if I fall? What if no one accepts me? What if no one make me belong to them? I'm not accepted. I don't belong. The feeling I don't belong there. They feel the feeling of getting it wrong, doing something, but the fear of not doing it right, the feeling of writing an examination and maybe failing and not passing. And the list of fear goes on and on and on. And what happened? If you think along that line, the low energy, the low vibration, low energy impact our mind. And when our mind is impacted negatively, we all know by now the connection between mind and body. And then once this mind is affected and body is affected, then it spread beyond mind and body. It spreads in the atmosphere. And those who I live and work with, they are equally affected. And it's imagining what if. So it's called miss. It's called, sorry, let me go back there. Yes, fear is very contagious and we pick it up through media. One way of getting fear, infested by fear, is the news that we watch, the voices and images that we consume for many hours within the day, the violent movies, aggressive scenes of people cheating each other, people having outside affairs, people conniving, how to rob a bank, how to rob. When we watch all these images and all these, and listen to all these voices, and media is business, and they're selling their news with the intention to make money, and we need to be aware. It's a business and they intend to make money. So as sensational as they can make it, same thing with entertainment. It's a business, it's about making money, but what it does to the mind of individuals when we consume it, when we absorb it, it influences our psyche tremendously. So there's always the encouragement never to start your day watching world news. I remember living in Jamaica for a while, and out of 10 news items, 7 is usually guaranteed murder. And so when you call it prime time, when everyone is sitting around in the living room watching it, and we're consuming it. And more so we consume it whilst we eat, whilst we're having food in our hand. So all that energy goes into our system and affect our psyche and ultimately our body. So be cautious about what you take into your system in the form of entertainment, in the form of news, and in the form of pastimes. Many times we just clicking and we absorbing all that which we are watching. Now, when there's a crisis, any crisis, and if within us there is this feeling of insecurity, then that insecurity is what drives fear. If there's no insecurity, there will not be fear. So crisis is there, but like anything negative, there is always available something positive in response. Like there's a problem and there's a solution. Problems don't just come, they come with a solution. Because they come and they go, they don't stay. How long it takes me to find a solution, that long they stay. And so there is a solution. So where do I focus? Now, the law of life, something I was mentioning all the time, night and day, darkness and light, death, immortality, yin, yang, good, bad, love, fear, is opposite. There are known fear and unknown fear. They need to work together, not oppose each other. Now, instead of fear, we can choose love. We can choose fear, we can choose love. Both are too extreme, but there's always a middle ground, and we need to find that. Now, fear brings darkness. And when there is cloudiness in my mind because of fear, because of worry, because of anxiety, there's no clarity in my mind. And when there's no clarity, I cannot make right decision. I'm paralyzed. I'm handicapped. I'm not able to be using all the potential, all my capacity to its maximum because I'm handicapped. I'm gripped by fear. So then, when there's fear, I have to find light. Like when there's darkness, I find light. When there's fear, I have to look for the opposite. And fear is connected with darkness, and therefore I have to go towards the light. And God is light. He's the light of all lights. He's a divine light. And so we are also, not just God being light, but we as children of God, made in his image and likeness, we are also divine light. When there's darkness, it feels unnatural. When there's light, we feel secure, we feel okay. So when there's feeling of fear, we need to go towards God. Go towards the light. Find the light. Connect with the light. As well as ignite that living light that is within us. So what is fear in reality? When there is fear, you need to adopt love. You need to go towards the light or emerge the light within you. You need to emerge courage. And when you emerge courage, we say the light of hope, the light of love. This is our terms we always use, the light of love, the light of hope. We have to use courage. And each time we use courage, it grows and grows and grows. I don't know whether I should tell you a story, but it's a real story. Many, many years ago, back in Guyana, where I was residing in the first center, One night I was alone, and while sleeping, I suddenly woke up. And when I woke up, I was thinking, usually I think it's time for meditation. So I looked at the watch and it said it was 12:30 in the night. So I knew it was too early. And I thought, oh, I have a couple more hours. But the thought, I had that thought, there's a couple more hours. But I said, okay, it's nothing. I will. But before I fall asleep again, this thought crossed my mind. How come I went to bed at 10:30 and now I'm up at 12:30 suddenly? This is not normal. That's the first thought that came. The second thought that came, yes, suddenly, that was a thought. Why did I wake up so suddenly? It was a signal and I was too sleepy. So I didn't pick up the signal. So I went back to sleep. And after a little while, I realized that someone, don't know if I should tell you that story, but it is reality and you should know how to deal with issues. I realized somebody was sitting on my bed and I thought I was dreaming. And in my dream, I'm turning to respond to the person. And when I turned my body, and my hand was like this on one side, and when I turned my hand, my hand touched the cold blade of a knife. Of course, at that time I didn't know. And I never used to sleep with light. I was fearless. So I used to take all lights off and I used to have sweet sleep. So I knew someone was sitting on my bed with a knife on my throat, but I can't see the face of the person. And the first thought I came, this is danger. The first thought that came to my mind. And seconds, I don't know if you can call it seconds or moments later, I said it can't happen. All in first few seconds, I touched the blade of the knife. I recognized that there was somebody in the room and he was leaning over and he was putting the knife at my throat and I was in danger. I knew that, but I immediately said, this can't happen. So the thought came to put my hand out to see if I can identify the person. And then I said, no, that's not a good move. So I just lie on the bed and I said to the person, whom I could not see at all, I said to the person, brother, don't harm me. God will punish you. I just said that. And I think I said it 2 times. Brother, don't harm me. God will punish you. And dead silence on his side. And silence at that time was very, heavy silence because you don't know what he will do. And I know he's armed and I am defenseless lying. And then I start talking to him because he's not saying or doing anything. He just, I think he froze. He froze because he's not getting the response he was expecting. So he was thrown off guard. He thought maybe he planned it in his mind, I will struggle, I will try to scream, the typical thing. I didn't do none of that. I just said quietly, brother, don't harm me. God will punish you. And I repeat, and then after he was not saying anything, I said to him, I thought I better engage his mind. If I don't, he will be thinking wrong things. So I said to him, how did you come in the house? You know? And then he said, a window was, no. I said, why did you come here? Rather, I said, before that, I said to him, oh, see, you don't harm me, God will help you. I turned the story around. I said, you don't harm me, God will help. I said, by the way, how you come? And he made an excuse. Some people told him we have money. So I said, we don't have money. We don't ask anybody out there for donations. So we don't collect donations. So, and we don't charge fee and we don't earn a salary. So we don't have money. And there he sat, dead quiet, and time is ticking away. So I said to him, why don't you go how you came? See, you protect me. It's very funny. But I said, you see, you protected me. One day God will protect you. Again, he was silent. Then I said, why don't you go how you came? And he left the room. So then I thought I shouldn't lie here defenselessly. I should get up and be more alert. So I got up also. He went out and I knew he couldn't open the door. He said, open the door. And I didn't want to be near him. So I told him where the key was, directed him. And first I told him, why don't you go how you came? And he said, see, the dogs are barking. Wait, like that. Can you imagine this conversation between me and somebody who could murder me? Then he went to the door, and in my knowledge, he would not be able to open the door because it's an old wooden door. And over the years, the door has shrunk. So you have to put the keys in the key in the lock, and you have to lift the door with the key in, and then you're able to align and turn the key. And I thought he wouldn't be able to do that, and he wasn't able. He came back and he said, by that time I was in the living room, and he said, open door, which side to turn? So I said, turn, you know, finally I went to the door with him. And I opened the door, turned the handle, and he was supposed to go out. By that time, it was like 12, 15 minutes or more. And when he had a chance to go out, he just stood there. And I stood there. And he said to me, lean forward, and he said to me, don't tell anybody this. I know it's a wrong thing. I'm sorry. And he stepped out. Many, many months later, I came to know who he was and all the detail. And yes, I was actually very grateful for that person, that he, to me, to my understanding, he spared me, he saved me. So I continue to thank him. Why I'm telling the story, not to instill fear, but how do you deal with crisis? What's the state of your mind? So I was very calm. I had that faith that nothing and no one can harm me. I had that instilled very deeply within me. And because of that, I didn't go through storms, struggle. At that time, I said to God, in my mind, I said to God, what is this? And I just let go. Because at that time, all your good karmas, all the things that you did right, they come to your rescue. So all your effort of being courageous, of being calm, of being focused, of being stable, of being positive, all of that which you built up at that time. You don't need to struggle or go through storms. You can use that reserves, those positivity that you had developed and kept in reserve. You use it at that time. And I still live alone. I still, if I want to take off lights, I take off lights. What I mean, it didn't impact me. And the reason why it didn't impact me because of practice of meditation, because of building your resilience, your inner power, your willpower, your calmness, your peace, all of that. And my good wishes for that individual. I told him within minutes, I said, you see, you spare me, you protect me, God will protect you. Can you imagine a scenario like this? So yes, it is possible if you have accumulated positivity. And this is why meditation is such an incredible method to empower the self, to develop your relationship with yourself, relationship with God. You know, I went through Irma like many of you, and I remember very clearly, hours later, there was zero impact of Irma on my mind. Nothing came on my psyche. Nothing touched my psyche. Throughout the whole experience, I maintained my positivity. I know what is the scene of the drama. I'm very aware of every scene. And so now that we are in this environment of fear, where not just I or you or few, but the whole world is gripped by fear, one form or another. And if those who would have developed their resilience, if they would have empowered themselves, they would not be overwhelmed by this scenario. They will not be bogged down by the scenario. They will be able to stay calm, stay focused, and come to a solution. And I could safely say, until now, no impact. I don't know what tomorrow holds. I hope for the best and wait to see what happens. But with all gratefulness to God and to the universe, there is no impact. And I wish all of you to stay safe, do the right thing. I've locked myself in and I have no desire to go out. I don't miss anything. I don't miss anyone. I don't miss this idea of going shopping. I don't miss this idea of going here, going there, stepping out. I don't, because I am so used to enjoying my own company. And this is practiced over a long period of time. So I find that there is literally zero impact of COVID-19 at all levels, whether on an emotional level, whether on a physical level. But things can change. You never know how and when. Now, fear is, this is the point I want to come to, fear is an opportunity. We tend to want to escape fear, to shrink from it, to run away from it. We tend to become overwhelmed by it. We are in this time where we have to face fear and seize it, seize this opportunity, seize this opportunity where fear presents itself so that I can conquer it once and for all. Face it. Don't run away from it. Don't be afraid of it. Confront it, but confront it with love. Now, a person who is an optimist, he will see crisis as an opportunity and he will maintain his optimism. For example, if there's an economic crisis, he will say, okay, as a citizen, I have some responsibility here. What can I do to help in this situation? So he will take responsibility, he will stay optimistic, he will look at this crisis as an opportunity. Now, what he will do, he will emerge from himself. What is it that I need to use now? What resources I should use now to deal with this crisis? There's no point in asking why, when, what, how, why this crisis is here. There is obviously a big reason. I feel all the homework that we delayed in not doing in the past, like saving money, like valuing money, like being grateful for life, like appreciating everyone, by capitalizing on opportunity and don't become lazy and become lackadaisical or procrastinate. All of this is now we are confronted by this virus that is causing us to be locked in. And so it's greatest opportunity to look in and to see what's going on inside me. To work, do the inner work, to create that atmosphere, that ambience, that warm feeling, to cook a nice meal, to enjoy each other's company, to see how we can entertain each other and not needing distraction, entertainment in the form of distraction from the outside. So there's so much learning. I think it's the greatest learning curve the universe has presented to all of us. And we should grab this opportunity, right? So that optimist, what he will do, he will have the vision of what he wants to achieve, and he will go forward, emerge the courage necessary, emerge the determination necessary, emerge the resilience necessary to achieve his objective. And this is what an optimist will do. We know the story of Thomas Edison. How many attempts he made to create the light bulb? How many times? And each time he failed, it didn't deter him. He tried again, 1,000 times, 100,000 times. How much time he tried? And one day, one reporter asked him, "Don't you feel like giving up? How do you feel each time you fail? Each time you fail, how do you feel? Don't you feel like giving up?" He said, when asked, "What do you do when each time you fail?" He said, "I just knew what not to do next." Meaning, he was so undeterred by failure. He was so focused, goal-oriented, that he did not take his eyes of his vision. He kept his eyes on his vision. And today, bless the soul, we are able to see each other and enjoy light in our home because of his perseverance, because he didn't give in, he didn't give up, but he persevered. Now, power to choose. It takes great courage to accept one's own freedom. And freedom is the freedom to choose. We all have freedom of choice. And it's a power. But instead of running away, we need to grab hold of that power to choose and make choices that will propel us closer to our goal. And what is our goal? Our goal is freedom. Our goal is liberation. Our goal is contentment. Our goal is free from attachment. Our goal is to return back home to God. And our goal is to leave inspiration in the form of legacy behind. So we have that power to choose. Why not capitalize it? Now, I have already mentioned fear, hate, anger generate low frequency. And some people are comfortable in those kinds of negative, low energy, and they don't want to change, and that's okay. Nothing we can do. We can't make people change, or we can't force them to change. But here is an opportunity. If you find fear cripples you, fear intimidates you, fear prevents you from accessing possibilities and solution. If you're suffering from fear and you think you're not enjoying the worry or fear that you're having, it's a sure indication that you have the capacity to convert this into something much more significant. You have it. The fact that you're affected by it negatively and you're not happy with that experience, it means it's a signal, it's a sign you need to get rid of it because you're not natural in it. You're not comfortable with it. You're not feeling okay with it. So it means it's telling you you can remove it. You have the capacity. You can convert fear into love. If you're comfortable with it, you feel it's okay, it's natural, it's a different story. But if you are suffering from it and you're not happy with that state, then you can change it. You have the capacity. This is why it came in your life. It came to tell you, conquer me, overcome me, transform me. And so you can change fear into love. Just like I will again come back to the kid, when the child runs to you for security, when he is confronted with a stranger and he don't know who that stranger is, and he runs to you or she runs to you, you offer love. It's the same thing with fear. You have to address fear and talk to fear. And I tell you why fear comes. our capacity as human being is so good, so great. Sometimes we operate on such low capacity, even though as human being we have great capacity, we choose to operate on low capacity, anger, greed, fear, and so on. And it's not natural state. In anger, hate, and fear, we don't feel comfortable. We don't feel natural. So, why is there fear? There's a need to feel belong. The need to belong is so great in us for our survival, for our winning. So a lot of us are afraid because we feel insecure. We feel they will not accept me. They will not embrace me. We feel that we are going to be an outsider. And so in order to survive, we use fear. But fear actually cripples us. Fear does not support us feeling peaceful and content inside. So we need to look at that fear and change it into love. So use love more in the life. And as you increase, just like how at first you don't have the courage, but you get 1% success, it encourages you, you try again, you get 2%, and so on. And each time you use courage, you become more and more courageous. And one day you'll become embodiment of courage. And then what will happen with that other side of courage? It will, the opposite of courage, it will go out of your life. Like trying to be peaceful, replacing it with anger. First hour I'm peaceful and my anger gets the better of me. I try again, it gets the better of me. I try again, I'm able to achieve 1% of peace and abstinence of using force or anger or aggression. And then I tried again. Each time I tried, I get better, better, better. And I am able to overcome my anger, replacing it with peace. So if fear grips you and fear sabotage you and it hinders you, then you have to get rid of it. And you have to find a partner opposite of fear, which I keep saying is love. Bring love into your life and feel that love consuming you, energizes you. See love as a power, and as you spread love, you will find no negativity will stay with you. Because when love is there, hate and anger goes away. When love is there, fear goes away. When peace is there, anger goes away. When abundance is there, scarcity run away. All negative force or energy go away when we confront it and we conquer it. And if you try, you're going to get the help of the whole universe, and you will get the help of God as well, right? So I must understand that the element of fear is overriding all things. It's creating hatred, anger, prejudice, all in support of fear. And we see this happening. We are afraid, and because we are afraid, we started to create prejudice in our mind. We started to create animosity, we started to judge people. All of this happened when there's fear. So fear has a huge family, and we need to conquer it. When we look at how our grandmother, grandfather, and as well as our parents, how they are the best, greatest mediators in our life. Through kindness, through love, through generosity, they taught us how to feel secure, how to feel belonged, how to feel accepted. They taught us through love and generosity and care. They taught us that. And therefore, we have the same capacity they have. As adults now, we also need to show kindness, show love, show generosity. And these are our spiritual qualities. We all have it, not our grandparents alone, not our parents alone. All of us have these qualities inside of us. And therefore, use kindness, use love, use generosity, and things like fear, things like anger, things like ego will have no place. They will run away. They will not be able to face us. They will not be able to stand in front of us. You know, instead of hurting us or conquering us, they won't have the courage to come near us if I use my spiritual qualities of the soul. I'm going to close now. I'm looking at the time. So, fear, love, and law. You know, there's a saying, if you spare the child, you spoil the child. When your parents, as parents, you see how sometimes your parents use love, and sometimes because of their love for you, they use love. They use love only because of love. Your teacher does the same thing in school, or teacher. Sometimes they have to act in this loving manner, and sometimes they have to act in this strict manner, firm manner. But both qualities that they display, both are because of love. Because if you're too loving, no way, as well as too lawful. But love and law has to be. Lack of understanding can bring fear, no? And when there's fear, it generates suspicion, prejudice. And then there is the blame game starting. Then you started to treat each other, call this one white, this one black, this one Indian, this one Muslim, this one Christian. We started to put labels on people and things. And all of that are low energy. We need to get to a higher energy. All right? So I'm going to close now. Use compassion, use love, and you are going to conquer your fear. I told my personal story to all of you tonight, only to inspire you that if you do the right thing, it will come back to support you. Use love, use peace, use contentment, use anything that is positive, and overcome any kind of handicapness that you're confronted with. Fear is that opportunity to conquer and master your ability to stay courageous, master your ability to achieve your objective. So don't use fear as an excuse for not achieving that which you are or supposed to achieve in life. All right? So thank you once again for joining us. I hope it was clear. I was really doing a lot of writing and researching to come up with ideas on the subject, because I know lots of you will join us tonight, because it's a topic that it's worth exploring. I hope I have shared some useful points. And let me say once again, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to having you join us again next week, Tuesday, same time. Om Shanti, and have a good night. Take care.